Jackson Dearborn Partners, JDP, they have a pretty successful track record of successfully closing on, I believe it's 7 different qualified opportunity funds. Is that right?
That's right.
And this is your 8th one that you're offering now. Each of these a different single asset fund. So Ryan, I'll turn it over to you. Please take it away. If you have a slide deck you want to share, go for it.
All right, good deal. Well, thanks everyone for joining, everyone looking in from wherever you are. Jimmy, thanks for setting this up and for inviting us to do a little pitch on this project, which is Solace at Cimarron Hills in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My name is Ryan Tobias. As Jimmy said, I'm a partner and co-founder at Jackson Dearborn Partners. We're a development company based in Chicago. We've got a couple of regional offices. I actually office out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. We have an office down in Champaign, Illinois, which is primarily construction and management. And then a small office in Scottsdale, Arizona, which handles all of our Western operations, including this project right here. Apologize at the beginning. This deck is a kind of a full-fledged offering memorandum. Some slides may be a little more challenging to read. We can distribute this out after the presentation. It's also fairly long. I'm going to try to get through it pretty quickly, as I believe we just have about a 10-minute time slot here to work through. So again, Solace at Cimarron Hills, it's a 234-unit project in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's a summary of the project. It's a $61 million multifamily project. I'm going to cover most of the highlights of this particular slide as we work through. So I'm going to skip along and just tell you guys a little bit about ourselves first. As I mentioned, JDP based in Chicago, Sub4 Development is our partner on this project and all the ground up projects that we do. It's a construction management firm based in Champaign, headed up by Chris Saunders. And they do all of the construction in-house of all of our projects. I think the photo at the bottom of that screen is one that we just broke ground on down in Goodyear, Arizona, actually. We're down there a couple of weeks ago watching them move dirt around. A quick snapshot of the team here. You can see me in there in the top left, and the Sub4 team as well. That's really responsible for building these projects. A snapshot of our overall portfolio. We're pushing up against a $500 million real estate portfolio that's almost exclusively multifamily and student housing. We've done a lot of student housing in the past. We're largely focused now on multifamily and largely focused in the western states of Colorado and Arizona. We're starting to look down in Texas a little bit as well. You can see we've got about a $300 million pipeline of all multifamily projects. About half of those are opportunity zone, half not. Again, you can see historically we are based here in the Midwest and have a pretty substantial portfolio up here. But we are rapidly growing out in Colorado Springs and Denver, and then down in the Phoenix area. And that's really where the bulk of our new construction projects are, including this one. A handful of development projects you can see as experience that we have here. These are multifamily projects in student housing between the Midwest here in Ann Arbor and Lafayette, Indiana. There's a project called the Artisan in Scottsdale, Arizona. Stay tuned for that. That's an opportunity zone deal as well for later this year. Solace at Ballpark Village, bottom left part of your screen here, is a project that we just broke ground on down in Goodyear, Arizona. Also opportunity zone, a sister project to this one. Solace Mahomet, top right, is 194 units up in Illinois. You can see kind of a theme here. Our Solace brand is our garden style multifamily brand that we're building out really across the country. We have 6 projects in queue for that. So this is something that we've kind of templated and built over and over again, which kind of brings us to Colorado Springs, which is a market that we absolutely love. We have 3 projects in various stages of entitlement in Colorado Springs right now, 2 of which are opportunity zone, 1 of which is not. It's if anyone was paying attention to Origin's presentation earlier this afternoon, they have a couple projects here as well. It's one of those tremendous overlooked markets in the country. It's coming up on 750,000 population metro, one of the fastest growing MSAs in the country. There's a lot of data here. I'm going to kind of just jump around, but rent growth in this market of over 5% last year. Worth noting too, this is sort of surprising to me even, is that population of Colorado Springs City is about 480,000. I mean, that's a shade under Atlanta. That's more people than Miami. It's more people than Raleigh. This is a major metro, and it stands kind of in the shade a little bit of Denver. It's about an hour south and has a lot of the same demographic, employment, rent growth metrics as Denver. just a little bit more of a smaller sibling. These graphs here just kind of show that pretty illustrative. It's just a continued rent growth on the right, employment on the left. You can see that even as of November of 2020, which is the most recent data that we have from the Bureau of Labor, is they're almost back to, at that point, we're almost back to pre-pandemic employment. This is an area that has really seen continued growth through 2020 and into 2021. It's a lot of exodus from the West Coast and even the East Coast, and just it's a high quality of life type of a place that's really been that's seen a lot of positive in-migration. Some stats. I mean, this is a number one fastest growing city for millennial last year. Number 4 best place to live in the U.S. per U.S. World News and World Report last year. It's got a wide employment base, a lot of government employers. Obviously, there are 5 military installations in the market, but it's really diversified into tech and healthcare and a variety of other financial services types firms as well. It's just one of those. It's just a tremendous market where, like I said, we've got 3 projects here, working on a 4th, and happy to be here. This project in particular, as I mentioned, it's 234 units in the first phase. It's a total of 342 units, obviously in the opportunity zone. The concept here is to build what we've built in the past, which is our Solace brand. It's down the middle garden style multifamily, like you've seen in all over the country. We've done it in a number of markets, and we're bringing that product here. We think this is fairly low risk, as I said, sort of down the middle type opportunity zone multifamily investing in a tremendous upside market. But we've got this underwritten just on kind of current rents of what the market will bear. Showing you where this is located on the east side of Colorado Springs. It's in the Powers corridor, which I'll show you here on this next slide. Powers is the major north-south commercial corridor for all of Colorado Springs. It's got every retailer under the sun up and down the Powers corridor. And we're kind of on the southern end of it. And then if you go just a little further south, you'll get to the Colorado Springs Airport, Pearson Air Force Base, and Amazon, which is building their largest facility in this hemisphere, about over 4 million square foot. This is not just an Amazon distribution center. This is a 4.3 million square foot facility employing over 1,000 people. That's just about 1.5 miles straight south of us. You can see the Amazon logo kind of on the bottom of the screen here. Two kind of snapshots here, what the project will look like. Huge clubhouse, full featured clubhouse, big gym, outdoor, opens out to the pool and spa deck area, and a community room. It's just going to be a gorgeous multifamily property. You can see a site plan here. As I said, 234 units in phase 2 out of 340, or in phase 1 out of 342 in total. That will break ground about a year following, so in 2022. Quick snapshot of kind of the amenity areas here. And the financials, there are a lot of financials here. This is an individual project. You can dig into the financials, into the rent assumptions, the growth assumptions, the exit. We'll send the Excel model if you like. Very transparent. Obviously, a lot of experience with the opportunity zones now, being on project number 8. Very focused on communication, investor communication, monthly statements, quarterly reports. And you can reach out to us at any time with questions, and I can tell you people do. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but you can see it's about a 16% IRR to investors, 2.8 multiple on your money. Just a couple of quick other notes on where this sits. Right in line with comps, which have just been absolutely surging. We're seeing cap rates now into the low 4s, pricing north of $300,000 a unit. Gives us a comfortable margin. And just kind of giving you a feel for, here's all the other new construction multifamily projects in Colorado Springs, really up and down the Powers corridor is where those live. And our rents right now, the way we have this underwritten, of course, this is opening next year, and rents are projected to go up 5% this year, 5.1, I believe, per Berkadia's most recent report, are directly in line or under on a per square foot basis on existing comps, including the one that just opened directly across the street that's already 98% occupied. The rest of this is more rent comps and that sort of thing. And And then just kind of summing up, so it's a $16.5 million worth of equity that we're looking for commitments on. We are open for investment right now with a minimum investment of $25,000. We are approved by El Paso County and now working through administrative approvals for our final plat and permits to break ground in late summer of this year and open in, the first building's open for occupancy in early fall of 2022. And that is the quick pitch. As I said, Jimmy tried to go through this as quickly as possible and save some time for questions if there are some, if you have some, or if anybody out there does.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you, Ryan. We do have a couple questions that have come in here. We got one that is asking, it seems like many developers flock to strong markets and then these markets get oversupplied, driving rents and valuations down. Are you at all concerned about oversupply in the Colorado Springs market over the next 10 years?
Well, not really. I mean, it's, that's a market where building permits, both for multifamily, for rentals and for single family homes, have been only about 60% of the population growth over the last couple of years. And that's why you're seeing these sky high rents. I mean, obviously that could change. Development continues, that supply demand curve could invert at some point, but it's not even remotely close to catching up right now. And so we feel pretty good about the long-term prospects. And we're in an infill location as a city continues to build outward to the east and to the north. It would be hard to replace this location.
Good. Net of your upfront fees, how much are you investing in the project?
So we're investing 10% net of developer fees. That probably ends up closer to 5%. I guess if you were to take that out, we don't do that. We fund this with upfront cash, and the developer fees are drawn out over time and deferred. But we're putting in 10% of the cash, which is in this case about $1.8 million.
And then will you be doing cost segregation, and if so, in which year?
Definitely do cost segregation. Good question on which year, either 2022 or 2023. I don't have our CPA on this call. That would be the man to answer that question. But we have in-house for that type of thing. Mark says who would be the one to answer that. I can ask him after this call.
Good. And how can our attendees here follow up to learn more about you and your fund?
Yeah, JacksonDearborn.com. JacksonDearborn.com is a website. This project is posted on there. You can invest directly through that, or if you go to the investments page, you'll find contact information for myself to reach out, schedule a follow-up call, send an email, or go through, register on our portal, and make your investment directly if you so choose.
Fantastic. Okay, well, Ryan, we'll cut you loose there. Thank you very much for presenting with us today. I appreciate your time.